Look around you. Really look. Pick any room, a boardroom, a crowded gala, a family dinner. There are 10 people in that space. 9 of them are effectively asleep. They are not acting. They are reacting. They are waiting for a permission slip that will never arrive. They are enslaved by a desperate need for approval, a paralyzing fear of silence, and the whims of their own chemistry. They believe they are exercising free will, but they are merely following a sequence programmed by their biology, their upbringing, and the expectations of a mediocre society. They are the pieces being moved across the board. But there is one person, only one, who isn't playing their game. He is observing it. He sees the strings. He hears the subtext in the silence. He knows your desires before you've even acknowledged them yourself. He doesn't want your validation. He wants your leverage. He doesn't react to the chaos. He directs it. This person is the player. And the cold, hard truth is this: unless you actively learn to think like him, you will always be his pawn. Most people spend their lives wondering why their hard work never translates into progress, why the loud, the ruthless, or the incompetent seem to ascend while the good people are left behind to manage the wreckage. They blame bad luck. They blame a broken system. They lie to themselves to avoid the reality that they have been trained to be harmless. You have been conditioned to be a victim. Niccolò Machiavelli, a name often equated with villainy, was perhaps the most honest observer of human nature in history. He didn't write about how the world should be. He documented how the world actually is. He understood a fundamental law that 90% of people ignore at their own peril. If you attempt to be virtuous in a world that is not virtuous, you will be destroyed. This is not about becoming a monster. It is not about causing harm. It is about waking up. It is about migrating from the 90% who feel into the 10% who think. I am handing you the keys to the fortress of your own mind. We are going to dismantle the illusions of fairness and vulnerability that you use as a shield, because that shield is made of paper. By the time we are finished, your perception will be permanently altered. You won't just see people. You will see patterns. You will see leverage. You will see the mechanics of the game, and for the first time, you will be the one holding the dice. But be warned, once you see the strings, you can never return to the comfort of the dream. The first mistake you make, the one that costs you your wealth, your status, and your peace, is that you are hallucinating. You are living in a fantasy. You enter a negotiation, a relationship, or a conflict operating on how you think people should act. You believe that if you are honest, they will reciprocate. If you work hard, you will be noticed. If you sacrifice, they will be loyal. This is the idealist's trap, and it is fatal. Machiavelli wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." Internalize that. He isn't telling you to abandon goodness. He is telling you that if you rely on your goodness to protect you, you are walking into a lion's den wearing a stake for a vest. The 90% project their own morality onto others. If you have a kind heart, you assume the world is kind. You assume that if you explain your pain, others will care. You assume justice is a natural law. It is not. Justice is a human construct. Power is a natural law. To outsmart the majority, you must stop wishing reality was different and look at it naked. When someone betrays you, do not ask, "How could they?" That is an emotional, useless question. Ask the Machiavellian question. What did they gain? People always act in their own self-interest. Even altruism is often just a pursuit of a dopamine hit from feeling righteous. When you accept this, you stop being hurt. You stop being shocked. You start predicting. The majority are stunned when a boss fires them to save a margin, when a lover leaves for higher status, or when a friend gossips for social leverage. The Machiavellian is never stunned. He expected it. He knows human nature is fickle and driven by fear. This sounds cynical, but ask yourself, who is safer? The man who believes the ocean loves him, or the man who respects the ocean's power to drown him? The second man builds a boat. The first man drowns while praying. You need to build a boat. This is the shift. Stop listening to what people say. Words are cheap tools used to manipulate and deceive. Watch what they do. If their words say, "I love you," but their actions scream, "I don't respect you," believe the actions. If a company says, "We are a family," but treats you as disposable, believe the actions. The moment you strip away the moral expectation of how the world should treat you, you become invisible to manipulation. You become a realist. And in a room full of dreamers, the realist is king. You must kill the part of you that needs the world to be fair. It is a childish need. Accept the chaos. Accept the greed. Accept the treachery. Once you accept it, you can navigate it. You cease being a victim of circumstance and become a master of the terrain. We live in an age of noise. Everyone is screaming for attention. Look at social media, the comment sections, or your colleagues at lunch. Everyone is desperate to broadcast who they are and what they plan to do. They are vomiting information, thinking that by talking they are asserting dominance. They are wrong. Every word you speak is a leak. Every time you explain yourself, you hand ammunition to your opposition. Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in the room is usually the quietest. Information is power. When you speak, you give it away. When you listen, you acquire it. The 90% are terrified of silence. Test this. The next time you're in a conversation and the other person finishes speaking, do not respond. Wait. Maintain eye contact. Count to 4. Watch them panic. Their brain will interpret the silence as judgment, and to fill that vacuum, they will start talking again. This time, they will tell you the truth. They will reveal a secret, justify a lie, or expose an insecurity. Silence is a weapon. The Machiavellian thinker is comfortable in the tension. When you are attacked or insulted, your instinct is to defend. You don't understand, you say. Stop. When you defend yourself, you validate the attack. You show that their opinion has the power to disturb your state. Instead, use the void. Look at them, say nothing, or ask a calm question. Why would you say that? Then wait. Watch them crumble and backpedal. By refusing to engage on their level, you become the judge, and they become the defendant. You must learn to starve people of your reaction. Most people are addicted to the feedback loop of your emotions. They poke you to see if you will bleed. If you bleed, they have mapped your weakness. If you remain stone, if you are the void, they become terrified. They cannot predict your next move, and what they cannot predict, they respect. This applies to your ambitions as well. Moving in silence is not just a cliché. It is a tactical necessity. The moment you broadcast a plan, you create an obstacle. Tell a friend you're starting a business, and they will project their own failures onto you. Tell an enemy, and they will sabotage you. Tell the world, and your brain releases the dopamine of achievement before you've even started, killing the hunger required to do the work. Keep your intentions dark. Let people perceive you as average, lazy, or even slow. It is far better to be underestimated than to be targeted. Machiavelli advised the prince to be a great pretender. Be a fog. You cannot aim at a fog. Your rivals will swing at the air, exhaust themselves, and that is when you strike. Practice this for 1 week. Cut your word count by 50%. Stop explaining your absences. Stop justifying your choices. Stop arguing your opinions. You will feel a surge of power you have never known. You are conserving your energy while others deplete theirs. You are becoming the architect. However, a warning. If you become too cold or too detached, you become a target of a different kind. People fear the enigma, and if they fear you too much, They will attempt to destroy you preemptively. To outsmart the 90%, you must blend in. You must wear a mask of humanity. Use strategic vulnerability. If you are too perfect or too stoic, you trigger the insecurity of the mediocre. To disarm them, you must choose a flaw to display. Admit a minor mistake. Ask for advice on a topic you've already mastered. When you ask for advice, you feed the other person's ego. They feel superior, and when they feel superior, they let their guard down. You are buying their trust with the currency of their own vanity. This is the art of making the calculated look natural. The 90% think being yourself is a virtue, but it is actually just laziness. Being yourself is for when you are alone. In the world, you are a character on a stage. If the situation requires charm, but you choose to vent your anger because it's authentic, you have lost. The 10% curate themselves. They ask, what version of me is required to win this moment? Does it require the lion, the dominant force, or the fox, the slippery diplomat? Most people are stuck in one mode. The master shifts between them effortlessly. This isn't psychopathy, it is emotional maturity. A parent isn't themselves when a child is in danger. They become whatever the child needs to survive. Apply that to your life. The mask protects your true soul from the filth of the game. If you show the world your heart, they will break it. If you show them a mask, they can only scratch the paint. We are taught that having enemies is a failure. We are taught to be the nice guy. Machiavelli rejects this. If you have no enemies, you have no character. It means you are a leaf in the wind, standing for nothing. The 90% crumble under criticism. They try to appease their rivals. The outlier uses them. Your friends will lie to you to spare your feelings, but your enemy will search for your weakness like a starving dog. If you have a crack in your armor, your enemy will find it. They are your most honest auditors. Instead of being hurt by the hate, study it. If they attack a specific point, they are showing you where you need to improve. If they attack you because you are winning, they are confirming your status. Be anti-fragile. Fragile things break under pressure. Anti-fragile things get stronger. Use spite as fuel. There is no cleaner energy than the desire to prove a doubter wrong. Michael Jordan kept a list of every person who ever slighted him for decades. Do not fear conflict. Conflict is the forge. If everyone in the room agrees with you, you are in the wrong room. Go where the knives are out. That is where you get sharp. The greatest addiction of the modern age is the now. We live in a culture of immediacy, high-speed internet, instant gratification, 15-second loops. The 90% have lost the ability to perceive time. If they don't see results in 3 days, they quit. They are trapped in the prison of the present. Machiavelli plays the long game. He understands that real power is compound interest. To outsmart the majority, you simply extend your time horizon. While they scramble for a quick buck, you build a foundation. While they react to the news cycle, you study history. This requires the suffering of patience. Patience is not passive. It is active warfare against your own impulses. It is the marshmallow test of life. The 90% eat the marshmallow immediately. They buy the car they can't afford. They take the easy job. They cheat for a moment of pleasure. They mortgage their future to pay for their present. You must do the opposite. Pay for your future with the currency of the present. Ask, will this matter in 10 years? If the answer is no, ignore it. Become a time traveler. When you feel the urge to quit, project yourself 5 years forward. Will you be proud you stood firm? The ability to delay gratification is the ultimate superpower because almost no one possesses it anymore. Be the one who plants the tree knowing you may never sit in its shade, but knowing your children will own the forest. We are taught that selfishness is a sin, but look at the martyrs, the people who always say yes. Are they respected? No. They are used. They are resentful. To outsmart the 90%, you must adopt rational self-interest. Secure your own mask first. Prioritize your mind, your health, and your mission. No is a complete sentence. When you say yes to something you hate, you are saying no to your own limited time. Let them call you selfish. Only the person who is full can truly give. A weak man cannot protect the innocent. You must become strong first, which often requires a season of isolation, a pruning of dead branches and leeches. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Love is fickle. People love you only as long as you are useful. But respect and fear endure. Do not seek to be liked. Seek to be respected. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not a candle, you are a sun. You burn for yourself, and your gravity holds the system together. The final lesson is emotional alchemy. The 90% are slaves to their chemistry. Something bad happens, they feel sad, and they stop. They are biological robots. The Machiavellian breaks the circuit. Emotions are just energy. Pain is high-octane fuel. Anger is nuclear. The average person lets this energy leak out through complaining or numbing. The outlier captures it. Build a citadel in your mind. When you feel disrespected, do not yell. Take that red-hot anger and shovel it into the engine of your work. When you feel heartbreak, transmute that sadness into reinvention. This is alchemy, turning lead into gold. View your emotions as tools, not as the truth. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you are in danger. It means your body is preparing for a challenge. The 10% let their actions dictate their feelings, not the other way around. Imagine a control room behind your eyes. When anger flashes on the screen, don't smash the console. Say, interesting. High energy detected. Redirect to production. This is the ultimate freedom. When you can no longer be manipulated by your own biology, you become untouchable. You become the prince of your own soul. You walk into a room and you don't need to be the loudest. You see the strings. You see the game. You have walked out of the cage. Don't walk back in just because you miss the company. Keep walking into the deep. That is where the treasure is.